Hey YouTube, got a quick video here that I wanted to share with everyone talking about a new army. Yes, that's right, another new army that I have created for Warhammer the Old World. This one is an Orc and Goblin themed army. I am actually really proud of the hobby side of creating this army. Believe it or not, the whole thing was painted in 1 week. I will show my crappy little photos here of my screenshots of my iPhone, which has the little date there, and that's my verification that I have completed this challenge. And yeah, I mean, I've done this before. I made a little bit less of an impressive video on a vampire count army that I speed painted. And, you know, even if you counted the horses for that army as like 2 miniatures instead of 1, I would say the model count for that whole thing came up to like maybe 60 or 70 guys. As you can see from this army here, like we're looking at well over 100 miniatures, and I even tried to cram as many extra goblins onto my unit fillers for like the archers and the spearmen. I added extra goblins and bodies to give the impression of a big swarm coming at you. So trust me when I say this is well over 100 minis that I got painted up in under a week here. The basing process took like an extra day. I'll go a little bit into all of the hobby side of things here, but I do want to keep this video a little bit on the briefer side of things. So I guess we can start just talking about the hobby side real quick here. Spray painted everything. Well, first built everything up, spray painted everything. Then I spent the first 2 days of the painting process with a new airbrush and trying to just learn all the airbrush techniques that I could grasp in those 2 days, and making as much process getting the base colors done on the minis as possible. I wanted them to get to a state where I could start applying washes and inks and then move in with a brush and do detail work on each miniature afterwards. So that's what we did with the first 2 days, and you can see from the photos here, you know, I'm just kind of starting out here with the airbrush, and I was pretty happy with what I got done here. And after that, I did a light blue wash. It was actually with a contrast paint, and I just kind of watered it down a little bit. It was like a glacier blue or something like that. I'll put a thing up here to get the actual name. And then I did a null and oil wash very lightly on just a few of the miniatures. After everything dried, went in with the brush, detail painted everything up, highlighted everything, and that's how we got the minis that you see before you today. Additionally, after everything was painted, I slapped a lot of Elmer's glue on there, put some sand on there, and then some earth texture. And the reason I did like sand and then earth texture in some spots is because I was going to actually build the sand up to look like snow, as you can see in the final photos here. And the earth texture stuff was kind of representing like the little patches of snow that got brushed aside from either like the winds or the army marching across the fields or whatever. And yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. Then I applied just like little branches and leaves and maybe like a little bit of grass texture effects around the area, just like little props and stuff to sell like they're walking through like a frozen realm. And that was pretty much it for the hobby side of things here. I did apply a seal afterwards. I think I just did a spray-on varnish for them. And yeah, that will cover everything for the hobby side. We'll move quickly into just talking about the army itself here. So let's talk a little bit about what each of the units in the army are here. To start with, we'll go into the archer unit here. So this is a good example of my kind of swarm presentation that I wanted to do with the goblins. Basically, I have the old style of goblins, which are a little bigger, and then the newer style that Games Workshop did, which are a little smaller. And I think a good way to incorporate the small ones and the big ones together is to give this swarm kind of presentation. So you can see on a couple of the bases, I doubled up the base, and instead of doing it as a typical unit filler, I put like extra small goblins on there to get that swarm effect for everything. Additionally, these guys are led by a little goblin shaman that you can see there. I think for the most part, like if you want to double up on units for Orcs and Goblins nowadays, you need to have multiple of those character types that are like related to the unit. So this guy's here to lead this unit into glory on the battlefield. He's a bit of a potion brewmaster for the army, as you can see by his cauldrons. The next unit that we'll discuss here are my Squig Hoppers, or the Squig Riders, whatever they're called. But yeah, I didn't have enough Night Goblins to actually make up enough of the Squig Riders, so what I did was I had a couple extra Squigs lying about, and I just put Snotlings on top of there with spears. I plan on running the unit with cavalry spears, so some of my guys had their swords drawn, and if that was the case, I put the cavalry spear on the side or somewhere on the mini, so I wouldn't forget that the unit has the upgrade most of the time when I'm playing with them. Up next, we got a Trebuchet. This is my red Trebuchet. Most of the time, red is to indicate the goblins in the army, and the blue color scheme is for the orc side of things. So you can tell this is kind of meant to be the goblin Trebuchet. The other one is a bit more blue in color scheme, and it has an orc bully leading the crew. I also went a little bit overboard, you could say, with putting tons of extra Snotlings and Goblins on the actual Trebuchet itself, and then having a crew on top of that. But hey, what can I say? I think of it as a swarm army, so I wanted to do that. And yep, up next here, we got the big Squigs. I did a red one and a blue one, keeping that color theme consistent. I added a bunch of chains to them because, again, similar to the spears there, the actual minis have the chains. They affect the AP of the minis, so I wanted to remember that rule, so I added those chains for a cool little detail. And Goblin Swarm up here, they're all armed with spears and shields. They got a little banner. And again, you can see that swarm effect I was kind of going for. I didn't mention in the archers, but on the sides of both of these units, I did netters and fanatics, just in case I want to run them in the list. You can see the blue trebuchet now. There's that orc bully there that's leading the artillery crew. Cool. That Snotling's going to get launched the moment the artillery shot goes, so that'll be fun. And then just a quick little side shot of the other side of this trebuchet. After that, we will talk about the Black Orc unit really quick. They're a good example of me trying to stick to that blue color scheme for the actual Orc units here. They're a mix of Avatar of War's Black Orc line models and then the actual ones that Games Workshop has. I actually think I inherited these from a friend who used to play Warhammer like way back in the day, but he kind of stopped playing right around high school, so he gave me the minis, and now I've given them a new life in my Orcs and Goblins army here. The bannerman for this unit was originally going to be the Army BSB, but I was looking through my collection and I found a different mini that was pretty cool, and I was like, I think I'll make this guy the actual Army BSB, and this guy will be the unit BSB for the Black Orcs. And speaking of which, we'll move on to that guy really quick here. You can see this is one of my samurai orcs that I've had in my collection for a long time, and I like to think he's the foreign advisor to the army, a bit of a strategist, and he also carries the banner for them as well. I actually built a little slot thing for that banner, so it slides in and out, making it kind of convenient for storage. This orc here can be like a Black Orc unit filler, can just be a character if I want it, but what he's actually meant for is a swap-in for the chariot. My main leader there, Borgort, the leader of this horde, is most of the time going to be riding on that chariot, but if I want to run him on foot, I can swap him onto that base there and then take that orc and put him on the chariot where Borgort is instead, so kind of a cool little thing. Fortunately, I didn't glue on all the Snotlings yet, as you can see, and that one there, he's kind of going to just go and point the direction that the boars are supposed to be going. Yeah, I gotta glue that on, clearly, as you can see. I spent a second or two here fidgeting with it. Sorry about that. But anyways, that is Borgort and his mighty chariot, and he's got a Black Orc charioteer master there. I swapped one of his hands out with like this whip piece, so it looks like he's kind of steering the chariot itself, and then that Snotling's guiding the boars as well. There are a couple of extra Snotlings I put on there. I tried to put like 3 or 4 of them in case like I wanted to represent another crew member on there loosely with like 4 Snotlings. And yeah, you can see Borgort there. He's got a blue and red banner on the back, kind of symbolizing he's in command of both sides of the army there. And yeah, that's gonna cover all the units here in Borgwart's Horde. I actually think I missed really quick. I'll just insert a picture kind of near the end here. The leader of that Night Goblin spear mob. They have, similar to my Orc Samurai there, they have a bit of a Goblin Master Assassin from faraway lands, and he hides amongst their ranks, waiting for the opportunity to strike and kill a valuable target. Pretty much a translation, I'm going to give him the one-hit wonder and make him a nasty character assassin. But that is going to cover everything in the actual army here. I'm going to put a couple of little extra shots of some of the units here. I know I didn't get the greatest shot of Borgwart there during the video, so I'll give you a little video footage of him. He's probably my favorite thing in the army here. If you're curious about him, the Goblin Assassin and the Samurai guy I have there, they are all from a company called Rackham, I believe. They make a tabletop game called Confrontation. I used to play it way back in the day. Or I didn't really play it too much. I tried it once or twice. I just really liked the minis and wanted to collect them. But they're kind of expensive, but they're just gorgeous looking minis. If I had the funds, I'd make a whole army out of their minis. But they're, again, kind of expensive. A bit more on the luxury side of things. But yeah, I'll put a little link here to their website and stuff so you guys can check them out if you've never bothered looking at them before. Other than that, I mentioned Avatar of War for a couple of the miniature lines here. Some of this stuff is just some free STLs that I found online, and then most of the other stuff's just actual Games Workshop models. And I think that's just about going to cover everything here. Like I said, want to keep this video a bit on the briefer side because I know I've been kind of bombarding the channel with hobby video after hobby video after hobby video. I promise you I've got some battle report stuff on the way, and I actually have something a little bit different than hobby and battle report stuff. It's a bit more of a high production for me video on a new kind of game system I wanted to create for Warhammer the Old World, and I'll be bringing that to you guys soon. And we'll be doing some tournament reports. I'm playing in a Warhammer the Old World tournament in this coming weekend, and even though I haven't been the biggest fan of Legion 2.0, I want to give it a fair shake, and I'm going to be going to a Legion 2.0 tournament event next week. So I will try to get some documentation of all those events, give you my thoughts and opinions on how all that stuff goes and the games themselves. And yeah, be looking forward to all that content, folks. That's going to wrap up this video. Have a great day, and I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.